Oh, I was muted for the stream. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to ROG Pulse, the weekly show where we dive into all things tech and gaming. And today we are doing our monthly Q&A fully focused on the ROG Ally.
Hold on. I opened up both YouTube and Twitch chat and I had both playing. So then I had 3 of you talking in my ear.
Oh, nice.
And you know what? I love you, Jake, but 1 of you is enough.
Yeah. Nobody wants 3 of me. That muted at the start was probably a blessing for just those 2 seconds where you couldn't hear. But yeah, guys, we are diving in to talk all things Ally. We've been collecting questions on Discord for a full week now. The announcement was
so many questions.
There's a lot of questions. And we've seen a lot in chat, and you know, people are going to continue to trickle in through the stream and ask the same question repeatedly. I think we kind of expect that. We've had the same question asked a few different ways about 1,000 times already.
Oh, yeah.
And but this will be a great VOD to kind of go back. We're not necessarily going to be answering all of your questions live in chat. Like, we may pull some out, but we do have a bunch that we curated through the community already.
The other important I mean, any questions that are asked live in chat, I'm pretty confident that they'll either have already been asked or there'll be questions that we can't answer yet. One thing I do want to say is that if you miss a question or you miss part of the stream, you're probably watching us, so you're not going to miss this. But if you're watching on YouTube, there are timestamps. I'm going to put timestamps in later, okay? So if you want to go back and reference something, I'm going to painstakingly go through all of these questions on this video and make all these little timestamps so that you guys can see everything. All right?
The legend. The other thing is a lot of questions about how do I pre-order? Where can I pre-order in my region? There are a multitude of links, and we've been keeping a full list updated in our Discord. I'm going to drop the link in chat right now, but it's just rog.gg/join Discord. If you go to the ROG Ally section and click the pins, it's pinned right there, or in the very first, like the top section, there is a pre-order thing for the
There'll be
ROG
links
Ally.
in the description of this video too.
That too.
Sorry, did you say that already?
Yep.
The other thing that I would say is we've had a lot of questions about when's the Ally going to be available in my country? Can I pre-order? Keep an eye on the social media accounts for your region as well, because it does differ a little bit from region to region, whether they're going to have pre-orders, when they go up, what retailers they're going to be available at, because it depends on that local office's deals with their retailers and all.
But I'm being very diligent about tracking that too. So we should our resource on our Discord and stuff should be up to date.
Okay.
And so yeah, I'll also just want to talk about the charging dock and the peripherals.
Yes.
You know, just set up for notify, to get the update on that, because you can't order it yet. But
I'm going to put links in both chats right now.
Okay.
And you can sign up for text message notifications, and I'll put instructions on. Oh, it's not there. I have to be separate links. You can also get text message notifications for those 2 products.
I don't know if that works in all regions. That works in the US.
Oh yes, I know this is for the US. For the US, text Ally charger dock and or Ally case to 278762. I'm going to put that in chat as well, so you guys can see it. You can also see that just by going to those 2 product pages on the ASUS website. And then when those are for sale, you will know right away. So before we dive in, I want to just say up front that there are some questions that I don't have an answer to yet. I wasn't able to get in time before stream, or they're just things that we don't have enough detail to answer yet. If there are enough leftover questions, or we get a lot more information in a few weeks and we want to do a follow-up video, we may, but just know that we may not get to every single question. There are a variety of reasons, but we have a lot of stuff that we're going to answer today.
We do. And we can start with just kind of talking about what kind of sacrifices had to be made. This was from 7th thread 82. What sacrifices did you have to make in the development of the Ally?
So I wasn't actually a part of making the Ally, but one that I actually have talked with the team about that they had really lofty goals, right? They wanted to get this thing below 600 grams, and we did a lot of stuff to whittle it down. We kind of whittled away some of the plastic inside to bring down the weight.
There's a lot of etching. I mean, this is ventilation, but there's just again removing plastic for detail that looks cool but also is functional.
We got it down to 608 grams. We did not reach our goal there. We had to sacrifice our lofty goals and go with 608. But I think 608 is still pretty good. It's still very lightweight. But
I mean,
that was one of those things where, we really wanted to hit that 600 mark, and we just couldn't quite do it with everything that we wanted to pack into the Allies. So that was one thing. Kind of a related. So a lot of people asked a lot of different questions, like why doesn't the Ally have X feature, or why does it have Y? Someone asked why it has a 120 hertz screen. Like, I'm sorry, do you not like super smooth refresh rates? Can the next Ally have this feature?
Yeah.
We can't really detail the thought process behind every possible feature. We're not going to answer like all of those questions. What I can say is this. Every feature in the Ally was carefully thought out to appeal to the widest variety of gamers and include the features that we thought most important to that wide audience while staying at an extremely competitive price. I honestly am still shocked at how low we were able to get the price on this for how great of a device it is. Remember, Jake and I have been gaming with this. We know exactly what it's like to use. It
Over
is
a month
everything
now.
I hoped it would be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
It's more than
by the same token,
better than I expected, to be honest.
Oh.
I was getting 105 frames on Diablo 4 last week, like 105 FPS, not sustained. That wasn't the average, but I peaked at 105. That's still incredible.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And by the same vein, I can't necessarily speak about what's coming in the future. People are already asking questions about like the Ally 2, this like mythical device that guys, the Ally 1 isn't even out yet. Just hold your horses.
Yeah.
I promise you, I promise you, if someone is working on that, they're paying attention to feedback on the Ally 1.
Yeah, and this is a common thing that we get when we release new graphics cards too. People always ask, will there be a white edition? Well, we're getting the same question a lot about this. Will there be a black edition? And the answer is, you know what? Keep asking that question on social media and stuff, because they want to hear that, right? Because that means people are interested in it. But we don't have an answer for you. We don't have a, yes,
we have not announced a black edition at this time.
Yeah, but
that we can say. And
could it happen? Absolutely.
I'll also say the white version is really, really nice. Jake and I, when we first saw this, we were kind of like,
last October.
I think I would have. Yeah, we were both like, oh, no black. I guess white's okay. And then when we saw it, I was like, oh wait, no, this is so much better.
Yeah, we were pushing back on it like through email. We're like, black seems like a little bit more ROG, and like, just
this is one of those things that I was happy to be wrong about.
Yeah, same. I agree.
Because the white is so nice. And here's the thing about white that I have found. White, I know a lot of people are like worried that it will like show dirt or something. And look, if your white device is showing dirt, you need to wash your hands more often. The thing about white, the white plastic is that the white plastic doesn't show like fingerprints and stuff at all.
It does not.
So it always looks pristine.
Yeah.
So that's why I ended up being converted to white. So I understand that people want different colors. You want a pink one, you want a blue one. Just keep asking. We'll see what happens. I'm not saying no, but we haven't announced anything at this time.
So I'm sure a lot of the people that are tuning into the stream or watching this VOD have been checking out the various reviewers that have gotten their hands on with the device. And, do we have any updates on any of those concerns that these reviewers have been bringing up?
All right, guys, we've gotten a lot of questions about this stuff. I have some updates. So few things, and then we'll start getting into the real nitty-gritty questions. The issue where there were a few early samples of the device that were experiencing like the buttons sticking, right? That has been fixed. It will not be present on units that go out for sale on June 15th.
Yeah.
Done. Fixed. Huzzah. Easy. As far as the joysticks, there were like 1 or 2 reviewers that said they were feeling some like latency in the joysticks. None of us have experienced this ourselves, but the team is investigating that. That's all I can say there. I have not experienced it on my Ally at all. Our team is also investigating the discrepancies in performance between the Z1 Extreme and the AMD Ryzen 7 7840U, which are similar chips, and they're performing a little bit differently, or what a reviewer found that they were performing differently for him at lower wattages. The team is still tweaking and optimizing. They're releasing more updates going forward. In fact, we released an update like yesterday that boosted performance at 10 watts, and there's still more to come. Okay. So efficiency and battery life is a big priority for us right now.
Yeah.
They're working on it. I promise you that as well. And a few people have asked about the Z1's performance at 10 watts, and I can't say anything about the Z1 yet. I don't think that we have. I think there's probably a performance embargo on that or something. And I haven't used it myself, so
yeah,
can't say anything about that yet. But just wait, we'll see. we will see all of these things.
It's exciting because, I mean, just some transparency, guys. Like when we went to Taiwan a few months ago, I noticed the button problem right away. And Linus and Dave 2D were the first two people to get hands on. And Linus also noticed the button problem. Dave didn't say anything, but so this is something that we've actually already been tackling, like behind the scenes. Is something that we were aware of and we were looking at. And that's how we're able to get this remedied. It's just, these are what we call marketing review samples. That's what this is. And that's what the reviewers have.
And actually these ones that Linus had were pre-market. These were
those were pre-units, but even these units that these reviewers have, and this one, they still kind of stick a little bit sometimes. It's not like horrible, but it is there. So it's something that has been addressed for all the units that will be sold on shelves.
Jake plays video games like the Incredible Hulk. He's just like pushing the button through the device.
No. What it is I was a competitive melee player, so I more roll. Like I don't actually like actively press. I more like roll, like one finger. And for some reason, I think that's a little bit. It causes the issue to flare up a little bit more.
I can see that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyways, so we already answered this question about will there be a black version because very possible.
Now we're into the gritty questions.
Yeah. So Exploding Juice was asking, is there a way to capture footage with the from the Ally on a capture card? And
straight up. How do you think Jake's been streaming with it all week? By the way, follow our Twitch channel. You can see all kinds of Ally gameplay.
Yeah, we've been streaming
all month long.
A variety of games from Cyberpunk to Stardew Valley. Like, we're going for super high refresh rate with games like Hades and Stardew, and then we're going for super high fidelity with games like Cyberpunk. So you can buy any USB-C hub. I have one here. This just has, USB ports out. It has an HDMI out. That's the thing you need. So you're basically running out of the USB port on the top into your USB hub. And again, we're going to be selling an official adapter that also has an HDMI hub out. And then you run that HDMI cable into your capture card, and then you split that capture card, and then you run that straight to your PC, or if you want to run it to your TV as well, you can do it that way. But absolutely, the other way to do it is if you have Wi-Fi 6, or if you have Wi-Fi 5 is probably fine, but I'd say I would encourage Wi-Fi 6 or greater. Then you can take advantage of the Wi-Fi 6E capability on the Ally, and you could do what's called NDI. You could send an NDI signal by basically installing OBS on your Ally. The Ally has it is Windows, right? So you can just install OBS on it, send an NDI signal over Wi-Fi to your streaming PC, and then stream that way. So there's a few different ways to do it.
And you could actually do it over Ethernet too. So I actually have been using this for a lot of my testing. I've been using this USB-C to, it's like a 7-in-1 adapter, USB-C to Ethernet. You could do that too for NDI if you want it to be a little bit, if your Wi-Fi is a little spotty in your house or whatever, and that doesn't work well.
Yeah.
Ethernet's an option too. But at that point, you could run HDMI to your capture card. But ultimately, it depends on.
Everybody's going to have different setups, and some people may not have capture cards, and NDI is a solution that doesn't require a capture card. But sometimes then you got to worry about mixing the audio, and because NDI isn't necessarily as good for audio. So, it all depends on your setup. But anyways, options exist, and it's definitely something where you can do. You have more choices than with a cell phone. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, that's true.
Because people stream from cell phones all the time.
I am sure.
Will there be first-party accessories for the Ally? I guess this kind of ties in nicely to what we were just talking about.
Sorry, I realized in the doc I wrote name ? Asks, and that sounds like I didn't know their name, but their username was actually name ?
Oh yeah, I skipped over that. I'm like, he forgot who wrote this question. Okay,
I know that's Beautiful. What their name was. So as we mentioned earlier, right? We have the case and the USB-C with HDMI charging dock. Those are coming. We have the XG Mobile line of external GPUs. We're currently selling one with an RTX 4090 laptop GPU and the Radeon, is it the 6850 XT? Sometimes I mix up all the numbers in my head. Both of those are available as well. Some people asked about screen protectors. I don't believe we have any first-party options, but I know that Dbrand already has a page up for their screen protector.
Dbrand doesn't miss a beat ever.
I know. They never do. I hope they have skins too. I think that would be really cool.
Oh man, don't even
6850 MXT.
Okay. And yeah, there's older versions like this. This one is a 3080 in it. It's it's great, but it's just the last generation. But I
Still
do have a
awesome if
40.
you
I got a
we
ship.
just don't actively sell those, I think.
I got a shipping notification. I think it's the 4090 XG
The
Mobile.
4090's
I think so.
coming to
So
you.
very exciting.
Yep.
Okay, moving on. 7thread82 asks, if Valve releases SteamOS for users to download and install themselves, would you support SteamOS on the Ally? Can I dual boot? What about 3D CAD files?
Okay. A lot of parts to this question. There was also a related question from Hilo on the Discord about just about modding the Ally in general. So let's break this down because there's a lot here. First of all, yes, you can absolutely install another OS, whether it be SteamOS or if you want to install some other flavor of Linux or whatever on the Ally, you can absolutely do that, just like you can on any of our laptops. We don't block you from doing that. It is your device. You own it. One of the beauties of the PC platform is the ability to do things like that. Remember, like Jake and I are enthusiasts. We have a company full of enthusiasts. I love seeing what kinds of crazy things people do with their gaming gear. So if you end up like modding your Ally or doing something awesome, not only am I excited to see that, please share it in the Discord. Maybe we'll share some on stream if we get some cool ones. Like I would love to see what kinds of crazy stuff people do with this device. The other part of this question, so when you say support, would you support SteamOS on the Ally? So while we don't block you from installing SteamOS or Linux, we also don't fully support it in the literal sense of like if you need to obtain customer support from us. Like if you need to contact us because you're having issues, I mean, it's a case by case basis. But if you are running SteamOS on the Ally and you have an issue with SteamOS, we can't help you with that because it's not running the software that we built into the Ally, right? So I can't go into every like potential hypothetical situation, but there are cases where they may be exceptions. But think of it like you would any other laptop or phone when it comes to installing other OSs and how the manufacturer would support that. So that's how that goes. Now I'm not saying that there's no universe where I don't know if someone plans on selling an Ally with SteamOS. That would obviously change that. If we sold the Ally with SteamOS on it or some future version of it, then in that case we would support it. But if you're installing something that we don't build into the product itself, I support you, but customer service, depending on the issue, may not be able to give you support. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay, cool. As for dual booting, I haven't tested that. I imagine it would work the same as on any Windows PC, but again, because we don't like officially offer Allies in the store with dual booted OSs, like that's just not something. I have too many other things to test that I haven't personally played with that. But I'm sure some YouTubers have or are going to be testing that, and they'll give you that information. I don't have an official answer about 3D CAD files or anything like that yet. I know it's like been discussed, but can I say that? I don't know if I can say that. Certain things are being discussed. That's all I can say.
Okay. That's probably a good thing, but we'll leave it at that. Dark Chocolate asks, will we be able to download Armoury Crate SE and other software and drivers from the ASUS website? What happens if we reinstall Windows?
So yes, you will be able to download Armoury Crate SE from the ASUS site, just like the drivers and software we offer for our other devices like laptops. That's no different here. That said, I don't recommend reinstalling Windows from scratch and then getting the drivers. If you can, if you still have your recovery partition on the device, my recommendation would be to use the reset this PC feature in Windows if you want to reinstall Windows, because then it comes with all that stuff built in and you know it's going to work properly because it's like still the original image, right? I haven't reinstalled Windows from scratch myself. I'm sure that would work if you downloaded all the stuff, but my official recommendation is to just use the reset this PC feature because it works beautifully. We do it all the time when we send laptops back and forth. It's great. Still has Armoury Crate and all the because Armoury Crate is really it runs like the beating heart of this device in a lot of ways, especially when you're talking about the controller, the command center, all of that stuff. You want it set up.
Armoury Crate SE is not the Armoury Crate on desktop. It is far more involved.
It is, and I really like it.
Me too.
I think it's
that's
awesome.
The thing that I, as somebody who's super plugged into ROG, it's the thing I'm most impressed by on the device is how well they did with Armoury Crate SE.
Yep, and actually, let me I'm gonna move two of these questions up because they're kind of related. Okay, so I'm gonna just shadow do this in the doc right now.
Okay.
Just give me a quick second here. Where is it? All right, this was at the end, but I'm gonna move it here. people have been asking, like, does ASUS plan on giving strong support and updating the Ally over time?
Mm-hmm.
This is related to the Armoury Crate discussion because, yes, obviously, we plan to give robust support to the Ally, just like we do all of our laptops. Graphics drivers will regularly get updated through AMD and Windows. We will continue to provide regular updates to Armoury Crate, just like we do on our laptops. Like, if you bought a laptop from us 3 years ago, it's still getting Armoury Crate updates. And if you have a laptop with, like, the Enemy Matrix from 3 years ago, it's still getting, like, new features to it,
Yeah.
right? So that's not going to change with the Ally. We have a lot of updates and optimization planned between now and launch, and we plan to continue supporting it after launch as well. No question. Okay? Just to make sure that is clear.
Okay. Is the BIOS accessible? Does it use secure boot? And can it be turned off and back on if needed? What else is available in the BIOS, if so?
This is another related question, kind of to the stuff about installing Linux and whatnot. Yes, secure boot is on by default, but in the BIOS, there is an option to turn it off. You've got other kind of typical BIOS stuff. You've got smart settings, drive and boot configuration options, network boot options, legacy USB. There's an option in the BIOS to turn off the boot sound at boot. So if you, here, I'm just going to do it right now. Oh, actually turn the boot sound off. I realized I was demonstrating the sound that it makes when it boots up with the animation. I turned it off today when I found that feature. It makes a cool sound when it boots up, but if you like to play the Ally in bed stealthily while like someone's sleeping next to you, you
don't want that.
whoosh. Yeah, so like that, there's stuff like that in the BIOS. So we're still producing BIOS updates for this, so that's not like an all-encompassing list, but yeah, it's there. It's easily accessible. It has options. A lot of people asking, are we able to upgrade the SSD? Yep. It is just some regular Phillips head screws in the back. Open it up. SSD's right there.
In fact, we're going to do a teardown video in a few weeks. We don't have the exact date for you yet, but we're going to do a live teardown.
We just decided this today.
Yeah. We're going to bring on our colleague Sasha, who used to come on the show a lot more. But
we haven't actually asked him, but I assume he's going to join.
I did ask him. He hasn't responded yet, but he's going to do it. I know he will. But anyways,
if he won't, I will.
The SSD is very accessible in the back. It's very easy to get to. And then there is the SD card reader as well, high speed. So you have that for expanding your storage.
Yep. Totally. Yeah, and we are going to have a guide on how to do that too. We're going to have a lot of guides coming up on how to use some of these different features. I've been using the SD card on my Ally for testing some other games because I ran out of space with all the games I need to test. I actually think the amount of space on this is perfect for me as is. Except when I'm benchmarking, because I have to benchmark like 20 different games for this. But I don't play 20 games at the same time.
Yeah. I just see questions about Wi-Fi 5. Yes, that'll work. No problem. Okay. So Shadow Ninja asks, can you record gameplay with the Ally?
Yeah, this was originally a more complicated question about installing certain software to record gameplay. But yes, obviously you can install any Windows software you want that would work on a device with this hardware. But more importantly, the Ally already has screen recording and screenshotting features built in. Mm-hmm. They use Xbox Game Bar, and they're actually what I like about them and why I am going to use them instead of other screen recording features or software is that they're built into the command center. So while I'm playing a game, I can click the command center button, press record screen right there, and it'll start recording the screen for me. I don't need to like alt tab out of the game entirely and go to my screen recording app or whatever,
Yeah.
So that's how I would recommend doing it. But if you have a screen recording software you like, if you want to use OBS or whatever, you can do that.
It's Windows, right? Install it, do it, and
but we wanted to.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess maybe one of the other concerns is like, is there enough bandwidth to record on OBS? And that's going to be case by case to what games you're playing and how much performance each game, what kind of stress you're putting into it. But I've seen a lot of games where I'm using like 30% CPU. So it's like, okay, H.264, encoding is not going to be a problem for a machine at all. Okay. Kat with the eye patch asks, what are the specs of the gyro sensor IMU?
That is a very specific question, but Kat with an eye patch, I hunted down this info just for you because this is a lot of this stuff I knew off the top of my head. That is not what I knew off the top of my head. It is a BMI 323. That is an IMU with a polling rate of 40 milliseconds at 25 hertz. That said, gyro support right now, it's not built into the software yet for like manual mapping into games. I believe it only works with games that have gyro support built in for now. So if you're like a huge gyro user, Like it's there, but it's not necessarily fully featured yet. Again, we're optimizing, we're updating. Just wait.
Okay. Technome asks, is it possible to disable any cores or multi-threading?
So, yes. This is not in the version of the software that we sent out to reviewers, but it is something that the team is working on adding to Armoury Crate SE right now. This is so it'll allow you to like disable cut down the number of cores that are available, which can improve performance and battery life in certain scenarios, though that's going to vary from game to game and stuff like that. You'll have to experiment with it yourself, but the option will be there for you.
Okay. We've seen a lot of people ask this, but you have Ocean of Stars getting credit here. Can the Ally do VR?
Yes, it can. I actually had not tested this myself. I do have a VR headset. I didn't even think about trying this, but what a cool use case because it's so lightweight.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to be tethered to a desktop PC or even put a laptop in your backpack.
Just put it in your backpack. Just put this in your
Yeah,
backpack.
it's so light. Blunty just did a video on this. That's how that I know that it works. So if you go on YouTube and you look up Blunty's video on VR and the Ally, he checked that out and tested it out for us so that I didn't have to answer this question. Thanks, Blunty.
Wings asks, how many controllers can you connect to the Ally to play couch co-op games? Can you use third-party controllers?
Yes, officially the Ally supports up to 4 controllers, and you can use any controller that would be compatible with Windows. The one thing that you do have to do is because the Ally has a built-in controller, if you're going to hook up 4 controllers, you want to disable the built-in controller. There will be an option for that in the command center, so that if you're like hooking it up to a TV to play with friends, you disable the built-in controller, then connect your controllers over Bluetooth or with a USB hub or whatever it is you want to do, and then party time.
The dream.
Yep.
This is that guy name ? Asks, is it possible to customize how the hardware works on a game-by-game basis?
Yes, it is. So on the Ally, it's called Game Profile. So when you go to that initial screen, here, I'll show you again on my Ally. Fingerprint. There we go. On this screen, you can like press X on any of those games to customize the game profile. And that will allow you to assign a custom button mapping just for that game. You can set that game to automatically run in a certain operating mode. So like I play most of my AAA games in turbo, right? Because I want beautiful graphics, good frame rate. But, Dead Cells I play in silent mode because I still get 120 frames per second in silent mode. And so I have Dead Cells set to automatically flip the device into silent mode when it launches so that I don't have to do that manually. It's pretty cool. You can have certain games have different trigger sensitivities. Different games can use different display color profiles so that every time you launch that game, it is using all of your preferred settings across the device. Very, very cool feature. And one of the reasons that I really like using Armoury Crate to launch everything. Like, not only does it combine all my games into one place, I don't have to scroll through a big library. It's just the installed games on the system. And then, I get all of my custom settings dialed in for each game. Pretty cool.
The dream. I'm just going to we've been seeing this question a lot. People, again, are asking about budget-friendly docking solutions for the Ally, and this is one of the peripherals that we are going to be selling. This is a very simple charger dock that has the HDMI port, so if you just want to be able to install this and then use this with your device instead of going all out and getting actually mobile, this is an option.
Charger/USB hub.
Yeah. So... And
there's a question that just came up in YouTube that I just have to. Can you please figure out a way to solve the stupid tribalism in both the Ally and the Steam Deck community? If I could, I would, man.
Hey, man, we've had console wars for all of eternity, right? That's been a thing, and if console wars have kind of ended, right? You don't have this feud between PlayStation and Xbox anymore. So it was only natural for a new war to begin. There can never be a world without a war. Now we're in the handheld wars.
This drives me crazy. Like we've talked about the Steam Deck on the show before. We were both excited when it came out. I was excited because I knew that was going to drive handhelds to bigger prominence. And I personally, I think that was their goal, right? Valve tweeted, they congratulated us on the launch. We tweeted back, we love Valve,
so
we
wholesome.
love Steam, we
so
love everything
wholesome.
they do. Like,
the only reason I didn't buy a Steam Deck is because 720p. That's like, for me, I just don't that's like a deal breaker. But for plenty of people, they don't care. That's good enough, and they love it, right? All my friends bought Steam Decks. Not gonna lie, a few of them
Yeah.
might have sold them when we announced the Ally, but that's okay. I think that they're both great devices, and the Steam Deck has absolutely opened the door for a new war.
Yep.
Yes.
A new wave of. I mean, this is one of the categories of device that I didn't own yet. Handhelds have existed, but they weren't quite there yet for me. And now, so I don't like the war part, but I'm glad there's a new thing to war about because it means that I get to game on something new.
I love people being proud of the device that they love. That's all that matters.
You know what? It's good to be proud, but just don't be an a-hole about it.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay, does the controller work for games and that I don't have linked to Armoury Crate?
Yes. Okay. So, before I answer the question, I want to kind of correct what I think might be a misunderstanding here. You don't need to link stores to Armoury Crate. Armoury Crate isn't like asking for your like Steam password or anything like that. All Armoury Crate is doing is searching your drive for games that it knows and giving you shortcuts to them right on that home screen. So you don't need to do any linking of stores. You just install your games in Steam or Epic or GOG or wherever, Xbox Game Pass, and then they just pop up in Armoury Crate. If it doesn't pop up in Armoury Crate, you can manually add games or other applications. If you want to add like your screen recording application, you can to Armoury Crate's home screen. You can do that. If you delete a game from Armoury Crate, it will still work, and the controller should still work, but you won't be able to like do the like customized game profile for it and all of that stuff. And honestly, it's more work to remove games from Armoury Crate than it is to just play them. So I think this question is based off the misunderstanding that you have to do something to get the games in Armoury Crate when you don't. It just happens. And generally, I would argue that you want to launch those games from Armoury Crate to get the best support from the gamepad. But I don't think that the system isn't going to completely crumble and break down if you launch it from like Steam Big Picture. Although I haven't actually tried that myself. Like I had kind of planned on trying it, but then Armoury Crate ended up being good, and I was like, I'm just going to use this because it just works so seamlessly with the Ally.
There's a design book I read years ago called "Don't Make Me Think," and that's what this device is. It just it just works.
Great.
Like, oh yeah, that's what I
title.
want. That's what I want. Yeah, I mean that's just great design philosophy. Don't think, just do.
Related question here: will Armoury Crate allow cover art customization? Yes. So it automatically populates the art for games, but if you want to put a different banner or like cover art in there, yeah, you can do that. That's part of the game profile.
I didn't actually know that. That's great.
Yeah, it's cool.
ASDF Playa asks another controller-based question. Will there be a version of the Ally or the Raikiri with a PlayStation controller layout?
Nothing we have announced so far. Again, can't really answer questions about future products that may or may not exist.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Jones.
When you uninstall games, does Armoury Crate remove the icons? Yes, I believe it does. I have been uninstalling and uninstalling a lot of games, and they come and go. So it's not just it's not just going to end up with a bunch of games.
A bunch of clutter. No, you remove a game.
But deleting a game from Armoury Crate doesn't install it. You uninstall it from the launcher.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to uninstall the actual proper launcher. Jones asks, is there a built-in microphone?
Yes, there is. And not only is there a built-in microphone, but Armoury Crate SE has all of our AI noise cancellation options and the mic options like cardioid mode and stereo mode and omnidirectional mode, so you can kind of customize how the microphone works and how much noise you're canceling from the outside world.
We've had a few people ask, are there any plans to reach out to developers to optimize any current or future games to make sure that they run as good as they can on the Ally?
Yeah, in fact, we've already worked with some. We've worked with Capcom, we've worked with Blizzard, we've worked with some other small publishers. Yeah, to ensure that the games are running well on the Ally. That's has actually happened already. We have a number of developer partners that we're always talking. I mean, Microsoft was a huge part of helping us put this together, right?
Right.
In Game Pass and all that. So yeah, that's absolutely happening.
It's exciting stuff. Seventh Thread asks, in your personal opinion, do you think now is the best time to order a handheld like the Ally, or do you think the technology still needs to improve?
So This was one of those questions that I was like, how am I supposed to answer this? But actually, I realized I can answer it with the truth. I personally have been waiting at least a year to buy a handheld. I have been in the market for a handheld. And I, like you, didn't think the technology was there yet until now. Like, this was the thing that I was waiting for. Everything else was like, oh, this is like really good at running indie games, but none of them could quite run AAA games with like the resolution and the fidelity and the frame rate that I wanted for AAA gaming. I'm not saying that they were bad. I'm just saying that they weren't there yet for me. And when what's there yet is going to vary from person to person. This was what I was waiting for. So in my personal opinion, because that's what you asked, my personal opinion, taking off my ROG hat, I still think that it is the time to order a handheld like the Ally, specifically the Ally, because I think this is the big inflection point for these handhelds.
For me, 1080 60 was what I needed to like a device that can handle 1080 60 for like any game I want to play. That is what I needed. And I didn't expect to get 1080 120, right? So it's not like every game's going to hit 120. That's true for most PC. But yeah, like playing Hades at 120 FPS, playing Diablo at like a 70 to 100 FPS range, and Diablo 4 is a dreamy experience on a handheld. And Blizzard nailed the controller controls for Diablo, because frankly, I never would have thought Diablo 3 would have been good on a controller, but Diablo 4, they designed it for controller. They designed it to have that dash button, and that makes all the difference when it comes to controller gameplay. Anyways, yeah. So that's my answer is, since we got 1080p and 60, I'm happy, but it's 1080 120, so I'm beyond happy.
So some people in chat are like, why aren't you answering my question? It's because we either already answered it in the last 37 minutes. You'll have to watch the VOD. Or some of these questions are just questions we can't answer because, like I said earlier in the stream, they're about future products that don't exist, or they are just questions that we can't answer, or that I don't know the answer to yet. That's why we had people go ask questions on the Discord, because some of these things I had to go hunt down the answer.
Some answers require us to talk to the engineering or so on.
Literally, some people are asking questions that someone in chat asked 5 minutes ago that was already answered. So like I'm sorry, like we are reading chat. I'm trying to read it as we go, but we also have a huge doc full of questions, and that was kind of why we did that. So yeah. Are there any questions that you answer no to? Should I not buy the Ally? I would answer no to that. So another kind of thing related to is now the best time to order, or should we wait until like the technology is better? My other thing about that, and I've been saying this for like 10 years, go back to when I was like writing for tech media, and I used to always say, the right time to buy something is when you need the thing, or when you want the thing. If you keep waiting for the next thing, you'll wait forever. Okay, like it's like buying a phone. Like, oh, should I buy this year's model? But next year's model might have this. Maybe I want to wait. But then next year's model is going to come out, and you're going to be like, well, I heard that the next model is going to have an even higher refresh rate, or even more. Whatever. If you do that, you'll just drive yourself crazy. Like, if it's really not there yet for you, then it's not there yet for you. But if you're like, this looks good, but what if it could be better? It will always get better, right? That doesn't mean wait forever. Buy what you need I actually am, like, part of me, I know that this is what I was waiting for, but the last 8 months, there's so many times when I'm sitting there going, I wish I had a Windows handheld right now. I'm glad I waited, but at the same time, like, I spent 8 months without a Windows handheld.
So one thing I'll say, and this is actually something that I did a ton of testing with the Ally with already, and only on Wi-Fi 5, is cloud gaming is like a whole nother narrative that we're pushing into, that maybe it hasn't been massively adopted yet, but Xbox cloud gaming on the Ally is basically lag free as long as you have Wi-Fi 5 or greater. I wouldn't do it with Wi-Fi 4. I don't think it's a good experience, but if you have Wi-Fi 5, ideally Wi-Fi 6 or even 6E, that is another thing that's really cool. And one of the cool things there is just the fact that you can play huge libraries of games and do all kinds of stuff. A lot of people are asking why no trackpads. I mean, again, that's one of those questions that we don't have the answer to necessarily, but if I had to if I had to guess, one, you really don't need it. It's a touchscreen, in my opinion. This is again, this is not me. Okay, stream. Hopefully we are back.
Are we back online?
I don't know. I think we are, but
we are. I see it. Yay!
Yeah.
Are we on YouTube though?
Yeah. I don't know. I hit go live on both. I do not know how re-ingesting to YouTube works. Anyways, okay, we're back.
We
nice.
are. We're
nice.
live in the same. Yeah, there we go.
Yay! All right.
Okay,
all right.
So that crash was brutal, but I did write down some of the questions that people had in chat, so that we can answer them. I wanted to address what you were saying about the touchpads though, because I think that I would phrase things a little bit differently. I wouldn't say you don't need them. I understand that some people like them, but I would go back to my earlier answer, which is when we decided what features to put in the Ally, we took everything and said, what are the things that we think the most gamers are going to need and that we can hit the price point that we want to hit, et cetera, right? We know that some people want some features, some people want others, some people don't want others. Some people are like, literally, some guy asked me why we had a 120 hertz screen on it. Like, everyone has their stuff. We tried to appeal
because it's awesome,
the widest audience we could, and hit a price point that was going to also appeal to that wide audience, right? So I understand that some people like the touchpads, but it just,
of course,
what I can't.
Some people like the PlayStation controller layout.
It wasn't in the cards.
I mean,
yeah.
you know,
but this is what we did.
yeah.
So I'm gonna answer this question last. I'm gonna go through a couple. So do you see these questions that I pasted in here?
I do, and I just really hope my internet's gonna behave, because that was a weird.
We'll get through these and then we'll be done. This will be an hour-long stream, and okay. So people were Prime Gaming Paladin, ML Paladin. Oh, ML Paladin. Said you mentioned owners can access the BIOS, but will there be options to adjust clock speeds and voltages? I don't have an answer. Like most of these questions you guys are asking in chat, I don't necessarily have the answer to right away. That option is not currently in the BIOS that I have, but they're still rolling out BIOS updates, so I cannot necessarily say what they will or won't add. Can Armoury Crate be minimized at boot? I will be using a different game launcher. Yep. There is an option in Armoury Crate to not launch it at boot if you want to do something else. It's Windows. That's the beauty of Windows. You can do what you want.
You have control.
Turbo Desaric says, can you make the screen run at 40 hertz? So it is a VRR screen. So it will adapt to whatever FPS you're getting in game from 0 up to 120 hertz, right? It has LFC. So if you're running below the VRR range, which is around 40 to 120 hertz, if you're running below that, it's still going to use VRR. It's going to double those frames for you. If you want, so what we do have an FPS limiter on the Ally, as well as you can use FPS limiters in a lot of games if you want to limit your frame rate to 40 hertz or 40 frames per second for a more consistent experience. I know some people don't like it when the frame rate jumps around, and they want to kind of like say, okay, I'm going to go for settings that get me over 40 frames per second, and I'm going to limit it to 40, and that's going to be like just kind of where it hovers. You can do that. We have an FPS limiter specifically in Command Center that you can just, you tap it and it goes between like 15, 30, 45, 60, like in those kinds of increments. So it doesn't, because it's in Command Center, you can't like type in a specific one. You might be able to do that in like the AMD drivers. But yes, that's a very long-winded way of saying, yes, there are many different ways to run it at run your games at whatever frame rate you want within the
from 1 to 120
of the screen's capabilities. How does offline gaming work? This is a good question. Someone said, like, I can't game on Steam without Wi-Fi. Yes, you can. Steam absolutely supports an offline mode. You just have to connect to Wi-Fi like once a week or something.
I think it's every 2 weeks. Yeah, you just need to like authenticate your device. I think it's like a 2-week window. Once you've done it, you're good. But you do, if you're like living in the middle of a forest and you have no internet access, then yeah, that's not going to work too well for you. But go to the cafe.
We don't have an optical drive in it, so you can't play your games on CD. That's the feature we should have added. No, so Steam has an offline mode. Xbox, the Xbox Store and Game Pass also have an offline mode. I believe in order to use that, you have to go enable it in the settings so that it can register like that device as like the offline device on your account or something like that. But otherwise, it's no different than using a laptop. Like, you know, if I want to play laptop games on my laptop on a plane or whatever, it's the exact same thing. You can do it with Steam, you can do it with Xbox. I think that there are some other game store / launchers that don't have an offline mode. So that's just something that you kind of have to take into account. And I mean, that's true of anytime you're buying games. You got to somewhat take into account the features of the launcher that you're buying on. So yes, offline gaming does work in a number of stores and launchers. Although I haven't really run into a situation where I've been completely without Wi-Fi. Even when I was on the plane or like in a hotel, like I had enough Wi-Fi just to do the authentication, so that I could play games even in launchers that didn't support it. But I know sometimes you're like in a car or something and you truly don't have internet, and that's fine. You can do that. Does it support HDR10 or Dolby Vision? No. It supports HDR in the sense that it can accept like an HDR signal from Netflix or something and tone map it, but it doesn't have like local dimming or anything like that. That would make the device much thicker, much heavier. So it does not have that kind of HDR. Sorry, I'm just trying to. I don't want to like sit here and have dead air while I'm looking at questions, but yeah, most of the questions I'm seeing are stuff we've already answered.
Yeah,
Guys,
we've answered
go back this video. We'll stitch this video together because we had this crash. We'll stitch it together. We'll put it up. It'll be on YouTube. I'm gonna put timestamps on it at some point, probably tomorrow, so that you can go back and get some of those questions answered. If we don't answer your question, it's probably because we can't answer it yet. All right, should we hit this final question in here?
Yep. What would you like to see improved in the ROG Ally, and what improvements are already being worked on?
Man, so this is like kind of a weird question because we had the chance to offer feedback on the pre-production units. So a lot of the feedback that we had is already being taken into account or has been taken into account. I actually, when we were talking earlier about that turning off the boot up sound,
that's something you said.
I was the one who wanted that. I was like,
yeah,
that's a really cool boot up animation, boot up sound, but I need to be able to turn it off so that my wife doesn't hate me when I turn it on while she's falling asleep next to me.
Right.
Lo and behold, there it is. So like a lot of that stuff, there's some other stuff that I'm not sure I can see what it is yet because it's not final.
Yeah, the buttons was one that I
that was one of Jake's feedback. They fixed that.
Yeah.
So like, it's hard to say what we want to still see improve because honestly, we were really lucky to offer feedback early on enough that a lot of that stuff was actually
implemented.
Taken into and a lot of my stuff was software related, and so a lot of the stuff that I want to see is actually making its way into Command Center and Armoury Crate, and hopefully we'll be there at launch. And if not at launch, again, we're going to be supporting this after launch. We didn't just like throw, and we've been watching the reviews too. Like all of us here have been watching the reviews. We have lists of all the feedback from the reviews. We didn't just like toss these out to reviewers and Best Buy and then like go to Bennigan's and have a beer and say, we're done. Like we're just getting started, guys. Updates are coming. Optimizations are still coming. We plan on supporting this device.
I mean, so the button sticking is fixed for actual production. Yes, Jay Dune. They're sending me a new unit apparently, so that I won't have sticky buttons anymore.
Yeah, and then they were gonna send it to me, and I said Jake needs it more. I'm sending it to you.
You're the best. You're the best. I can't wait.
I do it all for you, Jake.
Yes.
Day one updates. I don't know. We're gonna. We have day negative one.
Yeah.
Like,
so I mean,
we're still rolling out.
We're still a month. We're still a month away.
I downloaded an update today,
and we haven't slowed down. We're still plugging away at tweaking, optimizing, and improving this device. Our engineers are working very hard to make sure that we're as good as we can be day one, and then day 20 it'll probably be better, and then day 50 it'll be better, and the updates will just continue. Like you said earlier, we release a laptop, you get new features for it, those features continue to roll out for years to come. That's going to be the case with the Ally. Even when there's an Ally successor, that successor will get updates, and then you'll see those updates come to your device as well. So people are always worried like, oh well, should I wait for the next one? No, if you think you want a handheld gaming solution right now, if you're planning to travel or just want to play on your couch or whatever, this device is a phenomenal device.
I cannot tell you this is almost a little sad. I have not even turned on the PC back here that I usually
I
play
believe
with,
it.
like the 3080 Ti in it and stuff. Like I have just been playing everything on the Ally. I'm like, well, I can play in bed with this. I was at jury duty all week. I was playing this in the jury duty lounge, just like waiting to be some like I've been playing it everywhere all the time. I will go back to this PC at some point, but the novelty is still there for me. I really can't like I know I work for ASUS, right? And so like it sounds like I'm just like chilling because that is my job. I don't know how to tell you how personally excited I have been for this device the second they told me that we were making it. And it has lived up to all of my expectations. I don't know. I don't know how to say it any other way.
Yeah. No, it's exciting. It really is. And you know, this is just the beginning, but we will be dropping this product on June 13th. It'll be on shelves in most regions. Again, join our Discord. We have an Ally pre-order section that's going to continue to be updated for regions. Some regions still have not received information as to when it's going to be on shelves or where they can pre-order. We don't know all of that off the top of our head, but we're going to keep our Discord updated. So rog.gg/join Discord for all of that. If you have further questions and comments, join our community. Feel free to chat there. But I think that's all the time we have for the Q&A today. Sorry, my internet decided to like block half the channels. I lost Whitson's video, but not his audio. The stream went down.
It was super weird.
It was
guys.
weird.
It
like
was super weird.
I like actually am so stoked because I just got the GT AXE 16000 ROG Rapture router. I'm wondering that if this is my old crappy router's fault. That's caused that problem. I don't know. It's a freak issue. I'm swapping to the GT AXE 16000 later this week. So I'm very, very hopeful.
I'm psyched to see that happen.
Yeah, it's actually.
By the way,
again,
I want to say this last thing I'll say. We're streaming to Twitch and YouTube right now, so I know there are a lot of people on YouTube watching. Guys, if you're hungry for more Ally stuff, I know there are a lot of people in the Discord that have like watched every Ally review on YouTube twice and are like want to watch more. Go follow us on Twitch. Jake is streaming like 3 times a week on the Ally, just trying all kinds of different games. So if you want to see how games are playing on this thing, come to Twitch.
Yeah, what we were doing the other day is actually streaming for an hour and then like letting chat vote on the next game and then playing a different game for an hour and then just kind of cycling through a variety of games to show off, that we haven't found a game that doesn't run great. Hogwarts Legacy, Cyberpunk, you name it, we're getting basically 60 FPS in all these games at 1080p and it feels phenomenal. So
and I'm working on like a lot optimized settings list for these games too, so that when you buy your Ally day one, you can go get the best settings for balance of fidelity and performance too. That's my goal.
Awesome. Twitch.tv/ASUS ROG. I'll drop the link in YouTube
and check out our Discord.
Yeah.
A lot of discussion happening in the Discord. I occasionally go in there and answer questions when I can. If we are still getting a ton of questions that we haven't already answered, we'll do another Q&A, but something tells me that most of the questions are the same at this juncture.
Yeah, I mean
seeing over here.
If we have any updates, how about we just say that, next week's Pulse is a different theme. Just kidding. I was going to suggest we do it on Pulse next week. Yeah, we have a different commitment.
No, we'll give it 2 weeks because, people may have completely different questions in 2 weeks. So,
yeah, very true. All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. GG's Whitson. Until next time, we'll see you later.
See ya.